What's up, YouTube? We're back with a new video, a lot of you guys who subscribed to my channel recently follow me mainly for like the self-improvement content. I've had a fallout out of most of that stuff, and I don't know, I don't see myself making as much content like that anymore. I still want to try to, but I found, new things to be passionate about, like hobbies and stuff, so I guess I'll delve into this niche, of science-based lifting. See how it goes. So, how muscle hypertrophy works, right? We have two really good examples here, Dorian and Guzi. So Guzi, I think, is very underrated. He has like 16K on TikTok. This guy is absolutely fucking shredded. Crazy physique, crazy insertions. It's Chad. Dorian, he's popping. He's pretty famous. And crazy insertions, crazy everything. And the reason I'm using them as an example is because I've looked at most of their training, and it's very, very supporting hypertrophy. So they focus mainly on hypertrophy, obviously, or other bodybuilders, but it's more of the science behind it, right? So I kind of want to break down how muscle hypertrophy actually works and how you can actually, benefit from it and take something away, or just learn how hypertrophy actually works. So, in a general sense, what is hypertrophy? So, an increase in size of individual muscle fibers, but in a general sense, the more you train, larger your muscle fibers get. So, if I'm working out 5 times a week, my muscle fibers, what makes my muscles look big is, and other things, right? Water, and how much water you can hold is what again makes you full, but the muscle fiber is what makes you it's actual muscle, right? So here's an example, right? Untrained, nothing, versus trained, bigger, right? Obviously bigger, there's more shoulder growth, tricep growth, and bicep, right? Now, how do you achieve peak hypertrophy? There's three pillars to this. So it's mechanical tension, metabolic stress, and your muscle damage. Now, mechanical tension is physical force of muscle being stretched and contracted under load, and that is what kicks off the growth signal, right? So if I'm on a bench press, it's going all the way down, really stimulating my chest, telling my body, releasing that growth signal, contracting my muscle tissue, in turn getting bigger chest. Now, number 2, metabolic stress. This is like your actual internal, right? So it has a lot to do with your lactic acid and your body just burning off energy in support of building more muscle. This could also be, the pump, right? Once you're done working out, you check yourself out in the mirror, see how you're looking. That could be the case as well. Now, last thing that people don't, it's just very, very prevalent, muscle damage. So again, you're benching, you're killing all that muscle fiber, and it's going to regrow even stronger, right? So you're scarring it, damaging it, just for it to scab over, regrow, gets be stronger. That's again why you feel sore and you recover correctly, and you're stronger the next day. So, good into, or actually, a lot of people like to hate on this dude, but Dr. Mike Israel, very famous for the deep stretch. But I think it's very important to realize what he means out of that deep stretch. You're actually recruiting more motor units and contracting your muscle tissue, creating those tiny tears between those muscle fibers and getting stronger. So yes, that deep stretch is important. I think he's just an autist. I think that's what it is. So the actual science behind this, right? I hate to get too sciencey, at least with the gym, but it's always important to actually understand how your cells communicate and how your bodies grow. So the most important cell here is mTOR, which signals your muscle growth, and actually, it's what tells your body, hey, we need to build muscle, right? You need to get stronger. You're benching, right? You know, you're in your head, right, fighting for your life, but your muscles are also kind of doing the same thing. In fact, they think you're actually fighting for your life. This is how your mTOR signals to the rest of your body to build more muscle, right? I'll leave you out of all the boring stuff here. You know, all this fucking bullshit. You don't need to know all this. You don't even need to know the mTOR thing, but it's always good to know in case someone asks you. Now, biggest thing people forget, muscle hypertrophy is very important and heavily dependent on your protein synthesis, right? How do you get effective protein synthesis? Eat your protein, eat your carbohydrates. Another thing people forget, digest your food. Have a great digestion so you don't eat like shit. That's why you shouldn't work out. Go to fucking McDonald's. There's no point. You're killing me. You're doing whatever, right? You can have terrible digestion. Another thing that people forget, when they work out late at night, that's the most terrible thing you can do if you work out at night. You know, staying up really fucking late, you're gonna get terrible sleep. Recovery's gonna be terrible. Also, your anabolic window is open very late, which means you have to eat them. And you're not gonna be able to digest your food. You're gonna digest it while you're sleeping. You're gonna get terrible sleep. Again, work out in the morning. Protein synthesis is only beneficial to you only at its peak. You have great digestion. I'll skip satellite cells. I don't think you really need to know that. I don't know why I put that in there. Now, the biggest copes, right? I forgot to put this in there, but it's like 4x12, right? You don't need to train that much. It's too much fatigue. You should be training ideally 2 times to failure or 2 times with 0 reps in reserve. I don't think you should be training with 1 rep in reserve unless you're like a fucking professional bodybuilder. Which even then, like, you're killing your own gains. Just get fucking stronger. Also, it's dependent on the frequency, but it's whatever. Now, people think, you know, I increase my growth hormone. Say I'm on growth hormone. Say I take testosterone. My muscle protein synthesis is gonna be fucking amazing. No, it doesn't change anything. Muscle protein synthesis is heavily dependent on how much protein you can consume, or not how much, but the amount of protein you consume, and again your digestion. Without that, if you're eating like 100 grams of protein in one sitting, you're only really absorbing like 40% of that at its most. You're probably getting like 30%, and so you're just wasting your money, and you're gonna feel like shit and you have terrible digestion. Right? That's why people tell you do not eat any fats, do not eat anything crazy before you work out, because you want to digest it so your body can use it as energy, and you know, also you're gonna just feel like shit, right? And that's totally up to you. Now, realistically, if I'm dieting properly, I'm sleeping great, and my training is spot on, you should, or I should expect to eat, 1 to 2 pounds of fat-free mass, right? Now, a lot of people like to think, I'm gonna dirty bulk. I'm gonna hop on this crazy bulk. No, you're not gaining any more muscle than you would if you're eating your maintenance calories, maybe a little bit high carb, so you have more energy throughout the day. You're just gonna get fucking fat. That's why maintaining is probably the best thing you can do, because you can stay relatively lean, a healthy amount of lean, without feeling terrible, and you can look decent, and if you need to cut down, or you need to get to a lower percent of body fat for God knows why, cold for the summer or some bullshit, then you can do that, right? So people tend to figure. So, now, a lot of people, especially on this channel, have never seen my physique, so I just want to preface, I've only been training for 7 months, so my muscle building, or the amount of muscle I built, isn't too much, but I would say I have a pretty good frame, and yeah, so just so you guys know, I know a little bit of what I'm talking about, and it works around this 6 months is when I took this photo. Straight after workout, this is what I'm looking like. So, as you can see, my back is a very strong point. I have very well developed lats, and I have very well developed, upper back, right? Traps, meh. But everything else is pretty good. I have a pretty nice frame, pretty good bi-deltoid. My shoulders are fairly developed. My chest and abs, sadly, are pretty underdeveloped. I'm trying to work on training my abs a little bit more. I think there's better photos of me, but this is just what I had on the spot. And yeah, I mean, I've been training for this photo is 6 months, and not even locked in. Like, I eat like shit, and my sleep is like hit or miss. Like, it'll be good and it'll be bad. My recovery is whatever. Yeah, that's what I'm looking like. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know if you guys want more of this content.